Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Uh, so glad to
How are
have you
you?
finally.
Yeah. So happy to connect with you.
It's been a long time since we lastly met, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2019 when you visited American Corner UMM for Madani Film Festival.
Oh yes. It was one of the best times of my life.
How are you? How's everything doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm happy Ramadan is here, even though we're hungry, even though we're thirsty. Ramadan is very special. And um, yeah, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good. Yeah, currently fasting as well. It's early in the morning in Indonesia. So after this interview, I'm about to heading to the office as well.
Oh my God, busy.
Yeah.
You'll have to forgive me because I just broke my fast.
Oh.
And I need to drink my coffee so I can stay up for Taraweeh.
Mhm.
So you don't mind if I take a couple sips during our interview, do you?
Don't worry. Feel free to
Okay.
anything that makes you feel comfortable.
Yes, I'll try to keep it to a minimum.
Yeah. Finally, we made it. Yeah, after a long conversations and then trying to find the right schedule for us, and then yeah, finally we made it. Finally, eventually,
Definitely.
that's a good thing. Yeah, as I already mentioned before to all of the audience of American Corner, today we will have a special guest. I'm Akram Shibly, right from uh, US, from New York. Yeah, he's currently living in Buffalo. And this is the first time actually that we will have our program in fully English conversation. And so hopefully you guys will understand. And then for those who cannot understand, don't worry. You can always learn English. You have the chance and you have the time to
Thank
learn.
you. And I also have to challenge myself to learn Indonesian
Mm.
so I can better communicate with you all because really Indonesia is such a beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful place. And, when I came in 2019, I swear I never felt more hospitality, more kindness than I saw in Indonesia.
Wow, great then. Have you got some Indonesian vocabularies that you still remember in your mind?
Just makasi, terima kasih. That's all I remember. I'm ashamed. I got to learn more.
Alright, don't worry. At the end of the session, we're going to close it with you speaking Indonesian. I promise.
Inshallah, you could teach me.
Okay, so let's start this interview. Hopefully, we are going to have a fruitful interview for this about 1 hour. Yeah. Let's start with the kind of nostalgic questions. Okay, so could you please share again your experience when you lastly met or visited Indonesia back in 2019? How it feels like, and then how's your impression about Indonesia back then when you came to Indonesia for Madani Film Festival?
Yeah. So I came at the invitation of the Medani Film Festival, and um, it was really such a special experience. For me, coming from America, it's really rare to be just surrounded by Muslims everywhere I go.
Mm.
But it wasn't just about Islam. It was the theme of the festival itself too. It was about connecting, if I remember correctly. So it was nice to be a part of an environment where we looked at filmmaking and storytelling through the lens of connection, right? And through the lens of how it bridges people together. Um, and from the very first day, I was met with such warm hospitality. And to be honest, I was very jet lagged because 11 hours is a long time difference. So, but even with the jet lag and the tight schedule, I was very well taken care of, mashallah. And I think my favorite part was actually there was, I think, a point where we went to one of the schools as part of the festival, an Indonesian school, if I'm not mistaken, in Malang, um, and to see the students and their curiosity about filmmaking and their excitement and their passion. That to me was the most special part of the whole experience. You know, I've been making films professionally now for almost 10 years.
Mm.
So when you're in the business, when you're in the industry, over time, you can forget the seed that started you on your journey,
Yeah.
that passion and excitement. And I think the desire to change the world and to make a difference. And I think one thing that, at least for Muslims, I believe many Muslims, maybe not all Muslims, and maybe many non-Muslims too, they look for more meaning in their work, to do something different, to have an impact, to, whether it's to serve Allah, to serve humanity, to inspire people, So when you've been in the industry for a long time, sometimes that part can become a little bit dim, because you spend most of your days looking at budgets, meeting with producers, talking, and you forget that film has an impact. And Medani Film Festival and being in Indonesia reminded me of that. And also made me want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, because so many motorcycles everywhere. But I think my wife would be very upset if I did that. So in another life.
That's a curious question for me, because mostly I see people in the US, they ride, they drive, right, instead of riding. Is it that hard to get a motorcycle there?
It's each city is very different. Each city has a different character. So actually, if you're in New York City, you probably take the subway. You probably go travel underground all the time. Where I am in Buffalo, the winters are long, the roads get icy and slippery, so maybe motorcycles a little bit dangerous. So most people drive cars here.
Kind of different from Indonesia, because mostly people here start with motorcycle, and then
Yeah.
if they get better in terms of their economical conditions, they go for a car. That's the step.
It makes sense. Honestly, motorcycles are better on gas. They're more better for the environment. Really, you don't need to drive a big car. And it's just the funny thing about America is you see so many people driving cars and just one person in a car that's an SUV. It's like, what are you doing with all that car? You don't need all that.
It costs us the species.
Yeah. Seriously.
And again, congratulations for on your marriage. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel when you eventually made it through?
Oh my God, we could talk for days about this subject. So I'll keep it short and I'll keep it sweet. It's very nice to have a partner by your side, especially in difficult times. Like it says in the Quran, we're created as garments for each other. Garments are protection. Garments keep you warm. They look good. So, it's nice. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you as well. So
thank you so much.
We last met, I started following you, and then I saw from the stories what you've been through, and then you finally meet the right person that will accompany you for the whole of your life. And then I'm so grateful for this. I'm so happy for you to see that.
Thank you very much.
And let's get back to the topic. Okay. So could you please tell me how did you end up living in the US? Did you move to the US when you were younger, or you were actually born in the US?
Yeah. Great question. I was born here. My mother and father, they came from Syria. And they tell me they came for education mainly. So they were looking to get a better education, better opportunities for their children. So God's plan was for me to be born here, to Syrian parents, to do everything in my power to be the opposite of what they want me to be, because they thought I would be a dentist or a doctor or something like that. But alhamdulillah, I went down this path of storytelling and filmmaking because I felt like, I don't know what it was that called me to it. I mean, part of me loves movies, loves filmmaking, loves stories. Maybe it started with just stories. I used to read a lot of books when I was younger, and my parents would encourage me to read too, a lot, because I think they wanted me to have better English, In the house, we only spoke Arabic. That's it. So I had to learn English from watching TV, reading books, and then going to school.
Even when you are living in the US, English is still your second language.
Yeah. Although I'm still stronger in English than I am in Arabic. So I may have started speaking Arabic because of my parents, but just, you spend so much time at school, in the society, you really have to work hard to preserve your native language.
Cool. And if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned it on your podcast. Yeah, so Akram has a podcast. Used to have a podcast, Mama's Basement. It was also your mother who nurtured your love to storytelling. Yeah, by reading books and then providing you with the books. Something that eventually inspired you to be a storyteller, to be a filmmaker.
Definitely. I owe my mom my whole life. She even got me my first camera, and this is the love of a mother. This is the love of a mother, because intellectually, in her mind, she wanted her son to study medicine or to study dentistry. But in her heart, she saw that her son loves filmmaking. So she couldn't help but get me my first camera. It was a little HP handy camera. That was how I started. When I got that camera, I filmed everything. Hanging out with my friends, the tree at the park, the moon. I would zoom in and film the moon, and then I would just edit my days into little short films. So that was a really valuable experience for me. And I thank my mom a lot.
Oh, nice. And also, you told something about the priority that your mom did that. You used to ask for something, but your mom didn't give it to you, and instead, when you ask for books, then your mom will eventually provide it for you.
Yeah. My friend Mark, who is my co-host in Mama's Basement, he really helped me understand a new perspective, because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little upset, and I held that. I was like, I wish my mom paid for my violin lessons.
Yeah.
I wish she took me to Taekwondo when I was a kid, but she didn't do that, and she got me books. And then my buddy Mark, he pointed out, he said, the parent has a very difficult job to decide what is best for their children. You can't always give them everything they want. And my mom had to make that choice, and she made the choice that books would be best for me, more important than violin and Taekwondo. And I grew up, I bought myself a piano. I taught myself to play piano. I taught myself karate or Taekwondo. I'm sorry. And so, there's always time. There's always time to make up for what you missed when you were a kid.
That's kind of the hardest part of being a parent. You try to accumulate what your child actually wants, but you also think about what's the best for them.
Yes. Are you a parent?
Not yet.
Not yet. Inshallah.
Inshallah, hopefully, yeah, sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you share us about your childhood? Yes, you grew up as a Muslim in the US. How does it feel? And then, is there any problem coming up when you were growing up due to your identity?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's another question we could talk about for days and days and days. Because I don't want to sugarcoat it, honestly. I don't want to pretend like I was a perfect Muslim all my life and that I just knew this is the truth every single day. In America, you're exposed to so many different religions, so many different ideas. And my parents, they built a strong foundation. We talked a lot about my mom, but my dad, he was very active in my religious education. And he used to, do you know what a halakha is?
Yeah, halakha.
Halakha? Yeah.
Halakha.
So he used to give me halakas, but it would just be me and him. He's like, where's the halakha? But yeah, we would do halakha.
Two of us.
right. It's supposed to be a circle, but it would be me and him. My friends used to participate, but we all grew up, so it would just be me and my dad. And he taught me a lot about tasawwuf, Sufism, which for me, I don't see that as like separate from Islam. I see Sufism as like, and I don't even like using isms. I don't even like, because I really like to say I'm Muslim. That's it. And whether you're Sunni, Shia, Sufi, you're a Muslim. We can all just embrace that we all believe that we come from one God. And I even feel like people who don't call themselves Muslim, maybe they call themselves Christian, maybe they call themselves Buddhist, they may also be a Muslim, in their heart. They believe in one creator, they do good work, they pray. They just got a little bit of a different source. So anyway, getting off topic. I learned Sufism and Islam from my father, but I was a teenager at one point too, and I studied philosophy, and I also thought, there's so many different religions out there. How do I know that this is the true religion? How do I know? How do I know that my non-Muslim friends are following the wrong religion? So there was a period in my life where I did have doubt being in this multicultural environment. Maybe it's easier if I was in Indonesia and just everyone, and I know there's other religions in Indonesia too, but there's just more, right, more opportunity, more mosques, more, you don't feel different.
Because we dominate the society actually.
Yes. But in America, when you feel different, there's an impulse to want to belong and to be like everyone else. And I think there's a real human element to that, but it's actually a really dangerous thing because we were created different. We were created different so that we get to know one another. And when you want to be like everyone else, that means you start to erase, what's special about you. But I did go through that journey. I did question my faith for a little bit. But alhamdulillah, Allah brought me back. I don't know what it is specifically when I had that moment where I realized, what, this is real. But it was gradual over time. I couldn't ignore the signs, whether it's in nature, whether it's coincidences in my life that, just it had to be from something, some plan. So in the end of the day, I just said, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel, I submit, this is it. And this is how I will live my life.
Okay. And then you ever mentioned something happened when you were young, when you firstly entered the school, even your teacher couldn't pronounce your name, and
Right.
you had a problem with wiping or washing your butt with
Oh boy. Yep. We're gonna go there, huh?
really, I think actually this is something really small, but eventually matters when you enter
Absolutely.
a multicultural society. How does it feel to grow up with that kind of problem to engage with the society? Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. When people struggle to pronounce your name, as an example, like my name, Akram, and people say Akram, if you introduce yourself the way you think they will say your name, rather than the way your name is meant to be pronounced, then before you even start a conversation, you've already sacrificed a part of yourself. And that has consequences. I really believe that. And I didn't realize that. It took me 25 years to just say, my name's Akram, and not care whether they say it right or wrong, And then just from that, from you being afraid to say your name correctly. Maybe I'm afraid to fast in front of people. Maybe I'll hide that it's Ramadan and, oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, I got a phone call, I'll be back in an hour. Maybe you don't pray, and I'm not judging anyone who doesn't pray or doesn't fast. Like, if that's where you are on your journey, alhamdulillah, like, no judgment. But for those who really believe that this is the truth, but they can't introduce themselves properly, they're embarrassed when it comes time to pray, it's hard. It's hard. And my only advice is you will find so much more peace when you just forget what other people think about you and do what you believe. And that's a reminder for myself first. I'm not perfect. And I know there are times where I probably could be more honest with myself. But yeah, it's in America, you have to make these choices in these trades sometimes. Like, will I show up as a Muslim 100% today? Or am I just gonna like make it easier for everyone, say my name is Mo, not Muhammad, and just spare myself the explanation. But you don't got to explain yourself. Just be you.
I do agree. Finally, at the end of the day, you still have to, make peace with yourself and then accept who you are.
Absolutely. Right? Because at the end of the day, you're alone with yourself. At the end of the day, people don't think about, oh, that guy Mo, he prayed at work. That was so weird. They don't think about that after the fact. It's you who's alone at home at night who's going to regret, oh, why did I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I miss that prayer? Why did I change my name? You have to live with yourself first.
Yes. How about your parents? How did they deal with the condition that you were facing back then? Were they like encouraging you to face the world, that the world is not fair for anyone, so just face it, go over it, or they were being protective to you?
Hey, I'll be honest. I mean, I love my parents, but it wasn't easy for them. Like, I can't imagine what it was like for them because they grew up in a Muslim country like Indonesia, Syria. And I'm sure they expected their children to follow the straight path, right? Sirat al-Mustaqim, and never to waver left and right. But here I come with all these questions, with all my issues, with staying out late, going to parties, not being the ideal Muslim. And I think they didn't know what to do about me, so we got in a lot of fights. I'm going to be real, I'm going to be very real. Yeah, it wasn't easy. There's a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing. At one time I ran away from home. I was like, I don't want to be home at 10 o'clock. And if you're going to make me be home at 10 o'clock, I'm not coming home at all. So it was a big challenge for us. And, maybe it was their prayer and their dua that brought me back at some point, because like I said, I don't really know what it was that made me finally just calm down. But I did, alhamdulillah. And, me and my parents get along amazing now. I love them. They love me. They always did. And I think that's another thing, and maybe for someone who's listening who might be in a similar situation of friction and tension with their family. Because I think probably even in Indonesia, even as a Muslim country, we're becoming so global, right? Culture is changing, pop culture is changing. We're watching BTS and Squid Games, and it's not like our parents' generation. It's not the same. So our parents are really having a hard time with that. I think they're really struggling with that, and they love us so much. They just want us to be a good person, but we're changing so much faster than they could imagine. And all I could say is like, just try to be patient. Like, you may not want to be the person they want you to be, but just understand that they're hard on you because they love you.
Yeah, and we have to understand that there is a gap between our generation and then at the end of the day, we still have to be patient to explain to them, and then to finally have the common ground.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So again, how do you feel about it? Looking back to your experience with your parents, and then all the tension between you and your parents, do you feel grateful for that to happen, or is it something that till today you regret?
This is something me and my therapist actually talk about a lot, and I go back and forth. There are times where I feel guilty. There's times where I wish I was a better person. I wish I was kinder to them, especially my mom. I think I was very tough with her. My dad can take it. He's, we're guys, whatever. But my mom, she didn't deserve some of the things that I said and did when I was younger. On the other hand, Allah plans out our life, right? And as a storyteller, as someone who is trying to reach people, I feel like if I lived the most straight and perfect life, I may not understand being in that place where you're lost, where you're struggling, where you're looking for meaning, where you think that having fun and having a good time is what life is about, but you come home at 3-4 a.m. and you're just feel so empty, So I think I needed that experience to just understand that dimension of being human and growing up. So yeah, alhamdulillah, I am grateful.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, it's just part of growing up as a human being.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then go back to the topic. Sorry, guys, for being too personal.
No, I think this is what the best kind of interviews are about, because career is important, filmmaking is important, but at the end of the day, this is, I think, what living is really about.
Yeah. So looking back to your experience growing up as a minority, is it why, and then all the obstacles that you faced when you were younger, is it eventually become the reasons why you consider yourself as an outcast?
Yeah, I think so. And I think, what I realized through that podcast experience is, how do I put this? If you look at things from a certain perspective, you will always be an outcast. You will always be an outcast to some group or another group. But you have to find within you where you actually belong. And I think the reason why I thought of myself as an outcast for so long is not because I didn't have a community. It's just I wasn't aware of where I belonged, where my sense of belonging was. So I was an outcast from myself, because I kept looking to other places for acceptance rather than looking inwards at who I actually am, whether it's loving filmmaking, whether it's being a Muslim, whether it's being Arab, whether it's, all of these are huge communities. If you think about it, I felt like an outcast, but I just named 4 communities that have millions of people to them that I could call my friends or collaborators or brothers and sisters, So I really, throughout the world, yes, it's whether it's in Indonesia with you guys, here in America, in Turkey at a masjid, or, in Paris at a film festival. Like, me being an outcast was a frame of mind. And maybe it was carrying some of that guilt, some of that confusion from being a younger teenager with me. But I think anybody who feels outcasted, like, if you really look really hard, you'll find there's a home for you.
So related to the situation that you faced when you were younger, maybe this is something that we cannot actually relate here because we are the majority, right? So we as a Muslim here, we never feel like we are being the outcast here because we're the majority. So just to help people to put into perspective and then try to help them to put themselves in others' shoes.
Mm.
Is it that hard to some people who endures multiple identities to blend with the community there, with the majority people there? Why eventually people will gather with their people, and then it's not that easy to see all of us get along together with no border.
Yeah. I feel like this is a complicated question, but with an easy answer,
Mm.
but maybe an answer that's not so simple to implement in your life, because the problem is with trying to belong. When you're in a multicultural society and your goal is just to belong, then good luck.
Mm.
Because you could belong with the Muslims in this mosque, and you may not belong with the Muslims at that mosque, or you belong with the Muslims in every mosque, but you don't belong with the Hindus down the road, or you belong with the Hindus, but you don't belong with the Christians at the church down the street, or you belong with the whites and don't belong with the blacks. You belong with the blacks, don't belong with the whites. Like, seeking belonging, and like I said, although I understand the human impulse to want to belong, but if that's your goal, then you will always find a space where you belong and a space where you don't belong. So then who do you choose, right? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be about belonging. And like that's the wake-up call that I needed in my own life, because I spent so much energy just wanting to belong, wanting to be accepted, until I realized, wow, if I am accepted in this space, I'm not accepted in that space. So why am I even trying so hard to fit in? Why don't I just focus on, what's meaningful to me and being at peace with me? And then you have friends from every community who share your values. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
And I
about
think,
keep going.
no, I was going to say, like, even though Indonesia is, majority Muslim, I'm sure this is something that anyone can relate to, because you have cliques, you have Sunni Shia, you have the people who love skateboarding, you have the people who love playing pool, you have the people who like going to the bars. Like, who do you decide at the end of the day, is your community, right?
Even inside our own community, we still, we're looking for a place where we belong. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're still seeking for the community or the
Yeah.
people that we belong to.
Yeah. And I'm sure Rumi has poems about this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about finding that place within yourself where you belong and are at peace, not about out in the world, because the world is always changing and the world can be very unkind at times. But if you have that calm, that stillness within you, that seat on that couch in your heart that you can just relax in at the end of the day and say, today I did my best. Alhamdulillah. Tomorrow will be the same. Yeah, that's all you need, really.
And you know why, guys? It's not just about we as a people in the work village, but also it's all about your personal experience, whether you feel belong to that community or not. It's also about personal struggling. Yeah.
Exactly.
Good, good. So again, about the identity that you enter, we know the word, intersectionality. So
Aha.
your
Yes. Yes.
intersectionality bother you personally and professionally? Does it become a big issue? Your intersectionality?
Could you repeat the question? I'm not sure I follow.
Yeah. Does your intersectionality, the identity that you endure as a Muslim, as a minority in the US, become the challenge or the barrier for you to develop as a person, as a human being, and professionally as a filmmaker?
No, it's far from a barrier. It's a superpower. It's it's my biggest strength. It's what allows me to overcome roadblocks that can easily break you. I mean, look, if you're going to be a filmmaker, you have to be prepared to face so many rejections. You have to be prepared to have your heart broken many times, lots of ups and downs. But what's that constant? It's iman, right? That reminds me that like, just keep going, keep at it. It gives me perspective. It gives me a global family. Like I feel like you're my brother, honestly. And you're not American. We're not from the same country. We're not from the same culture, but I know you're my brother. And I feel like I already know so much about you, and we have a shared experience because we're both Muslim. Like I can say that my community isn't just 300 million Americans. It's almost 2 billion Muslims around the world. And, you know, in Africa, there's societies that I know that inshallah, if I were to visit, I could find a masjid, bow my head down and pray, have a meal with a sister or brother, and belong there. So it's the biggest strength.
Instead of a barrier, it's a strength for you.
Yeah. And you know what, I do want to give credit to the American side. And I know this is actually even more difficult for me to reconcile because like we got to be real here. You know, America has not played nice all the time around the world, you know, but it's still a place where my neighbors they're Indian, they're African, they're Chinese, they're from Somalia, from Egypt, from anywhere, even Russia, Ukraine. I have a Russian neighbor, a Ukrainian neighbor. And so like that's America. And that's also a pretty remarkable thing.
Is it because you live in New York? You know, New Yorkers are so famous with their personality of being open-minded. Even the conservative, they're still that open-minded. They are so welcome to everyone with different backgrounds, with different identities.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the news makes everything worse. I really do. When you turn the news off, you go out, for the most part, person to person interaction is very kind, you know. But unfortunately, when there's elections, when there's 24-hour news, like finger pointing, I don't know, people absorb some of that tension.
So, does your past memories growing up as a minority influence who you are today as a filmmaker? Does it influence the idea of you creating films, or it's just my past, and then my film will be different from my past. I will let it go off and then focus on finding new ideas for my films. Or still, there's something inside you that you have to amplify the issues or amplify your experience when you're young.
Who said anything about past? I'm still growing up as a minority filmmaker. I'm still learning every day, and I'm still navigating these ups and these downs and these questions. Even the questions you ask me, like I'm giving you answers, but there's still things I'm figuring out. This is just my most present state of where I've arrived right now. But yeah, I'm still very much influenced by it because it is who I am, you know, and I have so much to learn, so much to understand and discover. Like I said, I mean, I haven't read enough Rumi poetry. I haven't, I don't know enough about, I think, the art and the music and the literature of the Arabs, So I'm still on this journey to reclaim that part of my identity that I wasn't exposed to growing up here. It still very much influences and informs everything I do. And not to mention, like, I love a good underdog story. I love a good character rising up against all odds. And those are my favorite kind of stories. And I think that's definitely has to do with my experience.
Oh, because if I look at the movies, at least the movies that we watched together back in 2019 at American Corner, for instance, from a distance, right, distance, and then waiting in the door, and then in their footsteps, that they trying to portray the problems in your community, the impact of the war,
Yeah.
and so on. Uh, is it still something that you are working on, or something that you are thinking that it is still important for me to amplify, or are you kind of do you kind of feel tired of this, and then despite the efforts that you have already put there to wake everyone up, the problems is there, they're still there, and they keep happening, and then you really wish that the problem gone, the problem solved, and then you can focus on the other things in terms of
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
animation.
I think it's more so the latter. I mean, I think a lot of the films I've made so far, I get so moved when I see oppression and like I have to do something about it. So the best thing I know how to do is make films. That being said, I do want to turn a corner because, and this is part of my, I think, growing up, I'm not interested as much in educating others about our experience and the hardships we face. I would rather make us laugh. I would rather take us on an adventure, because I think we need a break
Mhm.
from this lived reality that we have. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I am less interested in those kinds of stories, but not that I'm mad about making any of those films or, have any regrets. Like, alhamdulillah, those are all important films. And even my film I'm working on now, it's a feature film that largely follows the uprisings and the protests in Buffalo in the summer of 2020, through a very specific story of a young Muslim man in his fight to get a woman out of jail. Um, but I just want to make people laugh and smile. So I think, inshallah, once that's done, like, hopefully you'll see very different content coming from me. The scripts that I've written, I've written a romance comedy about a young Syrian girl who has to organize a wedding online for her whole family to attend on WhatsApp. There's an adventure film about a Palestinian man literally flying, like he has superpowers. So those are, I think, where my heart is. And like, please make dua for me that, I'm able to bring those stories to life, because I want to make stories for us now.
That is something that we are looking forward to see
Inshallah.
when we watch your films, your works. We will not end up breaking out into tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or dragging emotionally.
Yeah. No, inshallah. No, I think, and I think, that's why I want to say to any aspiring storyteller, like, it's great to have a mission. It's great to want to uplift and educate, but don't feel ashamed if you just want to write a silly little comedy. Don't feel like, oh, what is the meaning in this? Is this serving Allah? This is just for fun. Maybe I shouldn't do this. No. You doing something for fun because your heart tells you to. You are fulfilling your purpose. So keep at it. Go for it. Write that comedy. Write that Jackie Chan inspired action movie. Do it. We really need it.
And as you are a filmmaker, I really want to see the point of view as the one who is working in the film industry. Does the work agenda actually ruin the works itself, whether it is the comic or the films, or is it actually become even the way to make it rich? The idea of creating a film, it has become one of the topic that we can elaborate in our films, or is it just because become the obstacle? People get bothered with this work agenda.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough industry, but just keep good people around you. the right team will elevate a project
Mm.
further than you can even imagine. The wrong team will weigh you down. So get good people around you, the right producers, the right collaborators, the right husband or wife, even, you know,
Mhm.
that's important. That is important. The right friends. You want to have positive voices encouraging you, you know, you want to break out of bad habits, and not just to be a good filmmaker, just for you, you know. You really reflect on who you spend your time with. I'm not trying to sound like a parent, like, you know, watch out for bad friends, but you know, you have to keep your spirit up, and where you put your energy outside of even working will impact your work. So yeah, just have a good team by your
So
side, and the work won't be as hard.
is it just a matter? So when someone finally decide to bring an issues to a film, to a movie, which we categorize, maybe we consider this as a work agenda. Is it the work agenda itself that makes the movie or the film is not that satisfying, or is it just a matter of execution?
I mean, I think it's case by case. I
Ah,
mean,
okay, sir.
you know, I can only speak from my personal experience. Like, I've been working on this documentary for 2 years almost. And yeah, there are days, weeks, months where I just feel like this is, like you said, you call it the work agenda, is slowing me down. It's taking the joy out of it. It's draining me. But I'm looking back at 2 years of progress, and there has been so much progress. And I have collaborators that I never imagined would be on my side, and now they're backing me up. So you have to just keep your eyes on the prize. You know, remember that sometimes you're going to be spending days and nights struggling, working really hard to bring your vision to life. But rest assured that if you don't give up, there's an end. Your film will get done. It'll get released. So at the end of the day, I think only you can be your own worst enemy. At the end of the day, it's your perspective on the work, I feel, not the work itself, that can make or break the project. But again, I think something really practical is like having the right team will just make that work so much easier. It'll always be difficult, but if you are having a hard time picking up the phone because you don't want to call your producer, because you don't enjoy, like genuinely enjoy talking to them, there's a problem. You know, you want to have you want to look forward to that phone call. Like, alhamdulillah, I'm working with a great producer. Her name's Sarah States. And, you know, if she calls me, I'm excited to take that phone call and talk about the project. I don't feel that dread, you know? So yeah, just really be careful with who you choose to partner with, and try to choose the people that are going to bring you joy while you work.
Finally, we got the POV from the professional, so we stop being, we stop all the prejudice there.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, and look, you might spend, and this is why they say, like, you know, go to film school. Like, you don't have to go to film school. You don't. But those are places where you meet people and you make friends. Like, you want to make films. I feel like you want to make films with your friends. At the end of the day, everybody just wants to make films with their friends. But it helps if your friends know what they're doing. They're professional. They'll get the job done. Like, don't necessarily call up your friend from elementary school who, yeah, we're going to make a film. And then you spend 3 days like eating Cheetos and watching TV. Where's the film, you know? So you want to make friends that are also professional and good at what they do, and then make films with them, because you'll have fun doing it.
Okay, so let's talk about again about your experience as a Muslim in the U.S. Maybe this is a very common question, but I think our audience still are curious about this. Very basic, very easy questions. How do you feel to be fasting during Ramadan in the US? Is it that hard? It is that challenging compared to we here as a Muslim Indonesia?
Yeah.
Majority of us are fasting as well. I think it's not that hard for us because we do it together. We share the same experience. It is different from there as a minority. I think
Yeah.
we like struggling more.
You know, one of my dreams is to experience Ramadan in a Muslim country. Like I want that so much. I want that so much. So maybe one day I'll head to Indonesia and spend my Ramadan with you guys. But until then, I want to say things are changing in a really good way. When I was a kid, I don't think there was as much understanding, and especially like, let's be real here, Muslims weren't, the best buddies. When you think of, America post 9/11, there was a lot of skepticism and tension, and I don't think people wanted to be very accommodating to us. But that's changed. I actually just heard about a college in Ohio, in the middle of Ohio, okay, where at 4 a.m. in the cafeteria they'll put out food and with a sign for Muslims only, so they can get their sahur before the restaurants open.
Oh.
And then, and I think because we're, there is a lot of Muslims in New York, but obviously we're not the majority. So when you go to the masjid, you see your community, you see the same people that you've come to know your whole life being a Muslim living there. So I think it's getting better. And I think that I really look forward to Ramadan, even here in America. And, I see a Taraweeh, the masjid is packed, kids running around in the back. I actually have to go soon for Taraweeh, actually. But yeah, kids running around, and it's just such a lovely environment. And even at work, I work in public media as well, as my day job. I'm getting emails from non-Muslims saying Ramadan Mubarak, and I was like, who taught you Ramadan Mubarak? But I love it, and so things are getting better. Yeah. There's no, sometimes the hard part is your favorite restaurant closes at 8 p.m. and iftar is 7:49. Oh. So it's like that one meal you've been looking forward to all day, you can't have for a month. There's those little bumps in the road, but it's still a very special time. Even here in America, you still feel it in the air. You really do.
And yeah, people there, even for those who are not fasting, they still trying to accommodate those who are currently fasting.
Yeah, mashallah. It's special. It's very special. But I'm sure in Indonesia you have festivals, right? And decorations everywhere. And how is it there?
Wow. It's always special. Yeah, Ramadan is always special. It's like a national event for us. Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow.
The vibe is always different. And then when you are in a Ramadan, people kind of feel warmer. There are many things that we do during Ramadan. We share our iftar together with our friends, with our relatives, and then we go to the road, and then we give free food. We throw free food for everyone.
Wow.
During iftar. Yeah, that's something.
Wow.
Here. We support one another.
That's beautiful. And, honestly, I think there's similarities here. I mean, it's not national, but even now we have, we have groups here that will do halal iftars for the needy, So after you have your iftar, you donate, you can collect meals, distribute them throughout the city. So it's like I said, you're my brother, even though we don't share the same country. I know your experience and you know my experience.
So here, if you have the opportunity to come here during Ramadan, that might be the experience that you always will always cherish for the rest of your life. Yeah,
Can't wait. I cannot wait.
can do that. Yeah, we've been so supportive there during Ramadan. Many goodness spread, and then it's always something that makes us grateful to live here. Like that when everything is getting worse during this pandemic, Ramadan always gives us hope for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
you know, something that we have to tackle, like the goods are getting more expensive because of the demand. But again, throughout the difficulties, amongst the difficulties, people
Yeah.
strengthen each other.
Yeah. May Allah ease your difficulties. You know, we're all feeling it. I think even though, inshallah, the world is opening up more, I mean, we still have to deal with a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of hardship, economic hardship, emotional hardship, mental hardship.
Mm.
Just know you're not alone. You know, if you're struggling emotionally, mentally, you're not alone. We're all feeling that. We're putting on our smiles, but it's a hard time. So don't feel like you're weak if you're depressed, if you're having so much anxiety because of what we've been through. You're not weak. You're only human. And you know, hopefully there are better days ahead. And hopefully this Ramadan can be a turning point for you.
Amen.
I mean,
So they are departing from your experience there during Iftar, during Ramadan in the US. Can we say that in the US it's getting better for Muslims to live in day by
I
day?
think so. I think so. I mean, you know, even, you know, yeah, I don't want to like get too into politics, but even in the previous administration, I would say, when I think there was a lot of hate being spoken, the hate was coming out of a few loud mouths. I'll put it that way. They wasn't the majority. And in fact, I found that a lot of people were so upset by the hateful things being said about Muslims that they went above and beyond to show us kindness. And I just, you know, human beings are amazing. I swear. And I think, you know, it's easy to lose faith in humanity because of wars and greed. But I just find that humans have this passion to make life as livable and as safe as possible for everyone at their deepest core. So I just find that as when hate becomes even louder, so does the love. You know, it really does. Really does. So it's been getting better for sure.
Okay. So as you have already lived a life as a minority in the US, do you have any tips or suggestions for us here in Indonesia as the Muslim majority to be able to create an inclusive and safe place environment for everyone to live in here? Yeah. Basically,
You know,
how it feels to be a minority there, right?
yeah. I mean, just have patience with each other. Have patience with each other. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can only control yourself, you know, and tolerance and love and understanding. It actually kind of all begins with sort of minding your own business. And I don't mean that in like, I'm not trying to be like condescending or say, you know, mind your own business in that sort of harsh, cruel way. But everybody, like we were talking about earlier, has to be alone with themselves at the end of the day. So if you just work on being at peace with your own self, not necessarily controlling other people's lifestyles, how they pray, who they love, who they worship, you know, how they spend their nights and days, you know, as long as they're not hurting anyone. I think that's the line where everybody agrees that, you know, once you start to physically abuse or emotionally abuse people, then we step in and say enough. But you have to let people live their life. And that starts with you focusing on you, and not in a selfish way, but in a more of a like a take care of yourself kind of way, and a love yourself kind of way, and just focus on you. Because if you spend your days worrying about your neighbor's lawn, criticizing the way he cuts his grass and trims his trees, the next thing you know, your whole yard will be infested with weeds.
Yeah.
You know, so just tend to your own lawn. Let people find their way, and if they come to you, they want your advice, you open up. If they come to you, and then you can say, well, this is how I see things. But otherwise, you got to let people kind of be in this world, you know.
Yeah. At least treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Good then. Do you have anything that you consider important for everyone here to know related to our topic today? I don't know what's the topic of today's conversation. It's all just, you know, go with the flow. But do you have any important message that you think important, yeah, for anybody to know here, but we haven't yet discussed during our conversation?
You know, like I said, we could talk some of these topics. We can really talk a very long time. We could do a whole series on it, but you know, I want to go back to what we started with, and like I really love Indonesia. I wish Muslims in America could know more about Indonesian culture, and could see more of what you have to offer the world. And I think it's beautiful that you brought my films to Indonesia. How can I bring your art and your work and your films and your creativity back to America? Because I think there's just so much we can learn from you, about how to have a functioning Muslim society, but one that creates art, one that creates music, one that creates just beautiful things. Like, I want to know more. So please help me learn more about Indonesia, and if you want to share with me your favorite films, Indonesian movies, your favorite Indonesian songs, books, I'm open. I'd really love to learn more.
Sure. That's actually one of the missions of American Corner, yeah. This beside spreading the awareness of America in Indonesia, and then trying to get people to know about the culture of America through our corners, but also we do the reverse, right? We also want to the Indonesian culture to Americans there if we have the opportunity, and that's why we come up with this program, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe in the near future we come up with the ideas again where we can invite people from America to see how Indonesia is look like.
It's a beautiful idea, and maybe we collaborate on a film together.
Yeah, I think.
Inshallah.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming today, and it's so good to have you here. Fruitful discussion for sure. So glad to be able to talk to you, because lastly, the last time we met, we didn't talk too much because you look kind of tired because of the schedule.
The jet lag.
Yeah,
that was tough.
And then finally,
it was very nice speaking with you.
Sure. That's what I feel as well. It's so nice to finally be able to talk to you and then have a fruitful discussion about these two countries, Indonesia and the US.
Thank you so much. Anytime, brother.
Okay. So as I promised to you, I will make you speak Indonesian at the end of our sessions. Yeah, before we end this meeting.
Yes.
Maybe we can end this session by having you say Ramadan, Selamat Ramadan to Indonesia. Okay, to people.
Okay.
Okay.
Go. How do I do it?
Okay. Let's start it. Okay. Selamat menjalankan ibadah puasa.
Okay, we're gonna have to go syllable by syllable. Salamat.
Selamat
Salamat.
menjalankan.
Okay, say it one more time. The connection.
Selamat menjalankan
Menjalankan
ibadah puasa.
ibadah.
Puasa.
One more time.
Ibadah puasa.
Ibadah puasa.
Ya. Well,
Salamat menjalankan ibadah. So close.
puasa. Puasa.
Puasa. Puasa.
Yeah.
Salamat menjalankan ibadat puasa.
There you go.
Makasih.
Sama-sama, Akram. Actually, in English, if you see that, but in English, it's just happy fasting.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Salamat menjalankan ibadat puasa.
Okay, there you go. Thank you so much. Hope this Ramadan will bring peace to us and joy and blessing for everyone who is celebrating.
Amin. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Akram.
You're welcome.